Hi everyone and welcome to Book Boop. My name is Rachel and welcome to another recent reads video. I'm going to be talking about 6 different books that I have read in the past few months at some point. Some of these, it's been a while since I've read them, so we'll see how this goes. I'm also feeling very tired today. I'm only halfway through the day and feel like I've already hit like the threshold of the amount of energy that I have. So I've got some coffee here and this will be a fun coffee-fueled video. I've got my list of books here with the ratings I gave them, and with the exception of one book, all my other books I don't have physically, so I will hold up a picture of the cover for you so you can know what I'm talking about. And for funsies, let's go in rating order for these. So we'll start kind of like the stinkiest book to the best book, at least out of these 6 books. And before I get started, it's extremely rare if I rate anything lower than a 2-star. Usually my max lowest rating is 2-star. And folks, I have surpassed that. This first book I'm going to talk about is The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. And guys, I gave this 1.5 stars. So obviously I did not like it. Boy, howdy did I not like it. And I'm really sad about it because it sounded so good. I love paranormal stuff. So this story, we are following this teenager who has the ability to see ghosts and communicate with them. And he starts getting haunted by the ghost of a school shooter from, I think, a local high school of his. I don't think it's the school he specifically goes to. And I had a really hard time with this one. I didn't like the writing style. I didn't like the characters. From what I can remember, I think there was a lot of profanity, which I don't usually have too much of a problem if there's like cuss words and stuff, but it's when it's used in over excess to the point that it's distracting in the dialogue, that's when I get annoyed. I don't think this was specifically the intention of the book. At least I hope not, because it just made me uncomfortable, is the fact that, so the main focus of the story is this school shooter. And we have this ghost that's haunting him, and the chapters go back and forth between our main character's perspective, Jake, and then also the school shooter's perspective and his backstory leading up to the school shooting. And it felt like it was trying to get us to sympathize with the school shooter, which I understand. There were horrible, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there were horrible things this kid went through before he snapped and he went and killed a bunch of people. Awful things that should not happen. And it's tragic and it's awful, and you wish this kid could have gotten help. But also at the same time, I'm not going to sympathize with the fact that he snapped and went and killed a bunch of his innocent classmates. So it's just an uncomfortable topic. I'm not saying it's not an important topic to cover. I just feel like it wasn't done in the way it should have been, to be perfectly honest. And it made me feel uncomfortable. I felt like I was trying to be made to sympathize, and I didn't want to. I don't know. I didn't like it. It rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm really sad about it that I didn't end up liking it that much, but it is what it is. So I personally don't really recommend that one. All right, let's see what the next one is. Okay, we're moving up in the world, folks. We're moving to a 2-star, and that is The Unbound by Victoria Schwab. This is the second book in the archived duology series. Now, first of all, this series was written quite a while ago. It's an older series, okay? It's YA and it's tropey. So I'm just going to throw that out there. And I understand that. I think it's a product of its time. So this duology, we're following this girl whose job it is to find histories and take them back to the library. Let me explain what histories are. When people die, I don't know if it's specifically their bodies or a copy of their physical body appears in the library. And there are people that are able to, if they touch the body, they can like see all the history, everything that's happened in that person's life. Sometimes these histories wake up and accidentally wander out of the library, and there are certain people whose job it is to find those histories and bring them back to the library where they should be. So that's what our character does. She goes and finds these histories and brings them back to this library. It's all a very mysterious thing. People in the world don't know that this library exists, so she has to live in a level of secrecy. And it sounds like such an intriguing thing. It's kind of creepy, it's kind of paranormal feeling, but it's very tropey. So So the first book has like a love triangle thing going on. So does this one, but not with the same guys. So it's frustrating because I'm not a huge fan of the love triangle. It's very angsty, and I didn't really like it. I think it's just a product of its time. If it's something I'd read maybe when I was a younger teenager, maybe I would have enjoyed it. But it just feels like a lot of kind of the thought processes of our characters, the things they're facing, the relationships feel very just overdone. They feel like they've been done a bunch of times. And again, this may have been a lot better and considered a lot more original when it first came out, but right now it just feels very tropey. So I personally didn't really like it that much. It was just sad because I really like Victoria Schwab's works. So I'm sad that I didn't like this one as much, but at least I read it and it's done. This was the second book. I'm finished with it now. I can step away from it, but I gave that 2 stars. All right, let's move up a little bit more to a 2.5. Isn't this great? Okay, the next one is A Tale of Sorcery by Chris Colfer. This is the third and final book in the Tale of Magic series that he came out with. The first series he did was the Land of Stories series. It is 7 books long. It's actually right here behind me. And then he kind of started a prequel trilogy called A Tale of Magic. And this Tale of Magic series reminds me of how I felt when I read the Land of Stories series. The first couple books in Land of Stories, I loved. They were great. They were fantastic. And then as the series went on, it started to go downhill. And by the end, by the last book, I didn't really like it. And that's how I felt with this trilogy. Even there's only 3 books. The first book, I thought it was fantastic. Thought it was great. Second book, that was fun. Third book, didn't like it. So I'm sad the fact that like it keeps going downhill for me every time he writes this series. If you haven't read Land of Stories or Tale of Magic before, it's basically like a giant fairy tale mashup. And you don't necessarily have to have read Land of Stories to read the Tale of Magic trilogy. Tale of Magic mainly focuses on the origin story of the fairy godmother, pretty much, and some other well-known fairy tale people. I love fairy tales. I grew up on them. They're precious to me, and I love it when you take a fairy tale and you can do a unique spin on it, and these characters that we love so much. And this particular book, maybe I just felt too disconnected to it. I don't know, because there was a long period of time between when I read the second book and the third. And I did have to go find a detailed synopsis online to remind me of what happened in the second book. But even after doing that, I just didn't feel connected to the characters. I just didn't feel, I don't know, I just didn't feel that great about the plot. I just felt like it was kind of boring to me. There were some directions that the characters went in with character growth that I just didn't understand why it needed to be in there, or just didn't really like their character growth. And I don't know. It just felt like a mess to me, to be perfectly honest. It felt like it was all over the place, and I just didn't enjoy it, and I just wanted to finish it and get it done. So I'm sad to say I did not like this book, which is depressing considering the fact I have the first 2 on my shelf. I'm glad I didn't buy the third one because I didn't like it, but now it's not going to be a complete series on my shelf, which bugs me too. But I'm sad I didn't like this one, but I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I finished it. 2.5 stars. Okay. Let's see. Can we move up now? Yes, we can. All right. I've got 3 more books to talk about, and they are much better ratings. So let's see. These are all actually the same rating. So let me just pick one. This one is A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Lynn. Appreciate this. My goodness, it is a beautiful cover. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the first book in a recently released duology, and actually the second book just came out recently. So they released both of the books in 1 year, which is really, really cool. This story is about this young woman who wants to be and has been training to be a tea maker. And her mother was a tea maker, a well-known one. And when this girl was a little bit younger, while she was learning how to make teas and stuff, she ended up making tea out of this tea brick that was laced with poison, and it ended up killing her mother and almost killing her sister. Her sister was able to get enough out of her body to where she didn't die immediately, but she's been growing iller and iller ever since, and is honestly going to be dying soon if there isn't some kind of healing that will happen. Then this proclamation comes from the nearby kingdom and the empire, and they are looking for a new royal tea maker, and they invite all these different tea makers from all over the province to come to the palace to be a part of this competition. And if they win the competition, then they will become the next royal tea maker, as well as get a wish from the emperor. And so our protagonist, she wants to win mainly because she wants to be granted the wish from the emperor to heal her sister. Hopefully her emperor can send the best healers to go and figure out what's going on with her sister and hopefully heal her and save her life. And so she desperately wants to win, and so she goes and is a part of this competition. I really, really liked this a lot. It actually reminded me very, very much of A Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Dow. Dow is the last name of the author. And I really like that one. That one is actually an Evil Queen retelling, but it's the same kind of idea when you have a character who lives in a small village and then she ends up going to the palace. She ends up living in the palace and being a part of the kind of like royal intrigue politics. This is the same thing. The competition takes place in the palace and all the competitors live within the palace during the competition. And so it's really cool for her to just sort of end up getting all tangled up in this royal intrigue and all sorts of stuff that's going on. I also loved the descriptions of the food. Oh my goodness, this book made me so hungry. I really, really liked that a lot. I loved the fact that the tea making is magical in this world, in that like that you can have magical things kind of happen with the tea, but also there's a lot of like basic things, like normal things about tea too. Like some of the competition, it was like, hey, we have this dish that will be served. Create the best tea blend you can that goes well with this dish. So that there's that kind of like thing too, just kind of like having delicious tasting tea to go well with specific dishes. And I just love that idea. And it was really, really fun. I'm excited to read the second one. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great, wonderful atmosphere. And oh my goodness, I hope there's still more amazing descriptions of food in the second one, because I want to eat it all. I want to eat all the food. It sounded so stinking good. Okay, this next one I'm very excited to talk about because it's one I'm hoping with me talking about it will get you to want to read it, because this is a book series I haven't heard very much about. And I have been putting off starting it for the longest time, and I wish I hadn't, because oh my goodness, this is like my perfect type of book. And that is the Lockwood & Co. series, the first book called The Screaming Staircase. So if you've been around my channel at all for a little bit, you know that I love me some spooky paranormal stuff. Anything having to do with ghosts, I am there. And this is everything. Now, I'm not sure if it's a middle grade or YA. I think it might be a YA series. I'm not 100% sure. But we have all kind of young adult and teenage protagonists. So in this particular world, the world is facing the problem. That's what it's called. And the problem is there seems to be an issue with an overabundance of ghosts, spirits, poltergeists, those types of things. So whenever the sun goes down, all these ghosts come out, and it's become a huge problem. Not only because it's inconvenient and terrifying, to be honest, but also if a ghost were to touch you, you would get ghost touched and it would actually kill you. And so a lot of people are really, really afraid of all these spirits. And because of that, all these different types of agencies have been created, groups of people that it's their job to go and to get rid of these spirits. And the way to do that is to find the spirit's source. So most of the time a spirit is connected to a specific thing, whether it's their actual body, their bones, or maybe a physical object they were very attached to. And if you're able to find that object and you're able either to encase it in iron or silver, which is something that ghosts don't like, or you destroy the object itself, then the ghost will dissipate and you will have eradicated the spirit. Now, most of these agencies are consisted of children and young adults, because kids are able to have the best vision. They're able to see spirits and hear them more than adults can. The older you get, the less susceptible you are to seeing spirits and all those type of things and paranormal stuff. And so we're following this very kind of small upstart agency of 3 teenagers who have their own agency called Lockwood & Co. And it really, this whole thing is just about them. And they'll have like in this first book, they had a certain spirit that was very malevolent and was being a really big problem. And they're having to do the mystery of trying to find the source and figure out all the stuff about this ghost. And You guys, that's what this series is. It's like 5 books long, and I am loving it. I'm reading the second one right now, and I really, really like it too. It's so fun, this witty banter. I love the banter of these characters. I love the idea of this world and these ghosts. So if you're the kind of person that likes to watch ghost hunting shows, like Ghost Hunter or I can't think of any other ones right now, but in like TV shows that are like the ghost hunting ones, and they have to go into a house at night, and they got all their equipment, and they're like trying to, read the temperature of the room, and that's this. That's this. It's so fun. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I probably should give it like 5 stars with how much I enjoyed it when I think about it. My goodness, it was a good time. Please try this series out, or if you've just been holding out on it. It's been out for a while, and I just kept sitting on it going, it sounds interesting. I'll get to it eventually. I'm so glad I did. It's so good. I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Let's see. I think I just have one more left. Yes, I do. And that's one I have physically. Now, this is going to be a very controversial one because this is a book on BookTube that most people really, really hated. And I'm excited to talk about it. And that is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Now, I've read a few of Riley Sager's books already, and I really enjoy them a lot. They're really, really fun thrillers. And I was excited to try this one out, even though it has very low ratings and most people, honestly, hate this book. So before I get into what I thought about it, here's the synopsis. So we are following this young woman who is in college, and recently her friend and roommate has been murdered by the notorious campus killer. That's kind of what this killer has been named. He's killed a few different kids from this college, and she's distraught. She's upset, obviously. Her friend's been murdered. She's having trouble focusing at school, and she just wants to drop out of college for a period of time and go home. And she's desperate to go ahead and get home. And so she ends up posting on the bulletin board at the college to see if there's someone that she can hitch a ride with to get back to her hometown. And she ends up getting contacted, just really slid out, sorry. She ends up getting contacted by a male student at the school that she personally doesn't know, but says, hey, I'm going to be driving in that direction, and I will gladly drive you back to your hometown. And she decides to accept. And once she gets in the car and starts on this long drive back home, she starts to wonder if she's actually in the car with the campus killer. So that sounds like a really, really cool premise. I thought it did. And also, it's kind of got that locked room murder mystery thriller type thing, because most of this book takes place in a car and just being on the road in the middle of the night, because they're driving during the night. And it just has that spooky atmosphere feel that I was really excited about. But I've heard a lot of people didn't like this. I heard a lot of people got angry reading this book. And here's the thing. I can understand. I can understand why people get angry with this book. But I personally really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I had a great time with it. I went into it with very low expectations, which I think is what helped. One of the things about this book, so our main character has been through some traumatic things in her past before this point, and the way that she copes with trauma and copes with anxiety, stress, whenever she gets overwhelmed, her brain goes into, I think, kind of what the book describes as like movie mode, to where she basically starts to hallucinate. She starts thinking about whatever thing is happening in front of her in a more cinematic kind of feel. So she'll kind of like imagine things that are happening that aren't really happening, which I felt like it was explained well in the book to why she does this, why this is a coping mechanism for her. So to me, it didn't bother me as much. Does it make our narrator a little bit more unreliable? Yes, it does. However, it didn't make her as unreliable as I felt like a lot of people had said. I feel like it was used well and it wasn't annoying, at least not to me. Now, there is a certain thing that happens in this book. I don't want to explain what it is because it would be a massive spoiler, but there is something towards the end of this book that happens that is what mainly makes people angry. And I understand why it makes people angry. It did not affect my enjoyment as much as I think it did a lot of other people. I just sort of was like, you know what? I had a fun time reading this. I get that this thing happens and it is kind of frustrating, but I still really enjoyed this book. So, my opinion personally, 4 out of 5 stars. I say, if you like Riley Sager, if you've enjoyed Riley Sager's books, even if you've heard, hey, this one's a stinker, don't read it, give it a shot. You never know, because I just went ahead. I was like, you know what? This is a book I found at Goodwill. It's like in brand new condition and got it for a couple bucks. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. People have hated it. Let's see what I think. I'm interested to see why people hate it so much. I know why they hate it, but I still loved it. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, had a good time with it. And I recommend giving it a shot. Even if you hear about a book being a stinker, if it still interests you, try it out, because you never know what'll happen. So those are 6 books that I have read relatively recently. Please let me know down below if you have read any of these books, especially Survive the Night. Let me know your opinion on it. Did you hate it like a lot of other people did, or did you enjoy it too? Have you tried it out? Or just if there's any other books. Also, if you've read in Lockwood & Co., please let me know. I want to find some other people that have read it, because I love it so much. It's so good. On this side of the video over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel and follow me on my book journey. On this side of the video over here is a suggestion for another video if you want to watch another one right now. But thank you so much for watching. You rock. And don't forget to keep reading. Bye.